Hey, I just want to welcome you guys back to Woodcarvers Corner. Today's subject that we're going to be filming is this simple little pattern. And I know you guys are looking at that thinking, well, that don't look all that simple. But here's the same pattern. I whittled this one last night a little bit. It's not near done. But let's say you were doing a Christmas ornament. The same pattern for the big one. I can scale it down to here, or here's one out of a 3/4 inch wide board, and I can even scale this little angel down to this, all with the same pattern. I can even do an in-between size. Here's one out of, I'm going to say, 1.25 inches thickness of wood. This one is in a mid scale. It's a little bit different size than the one I just showed you that we're going to do. Here's the one that I was actually going to work on during this film. And I sawed these out with a chainsaw out of a aspen log. I tried to not let it dry out real quick because when it does, it'll begin to get some air checks in it down here. I tried to saw it out where the center of the log was not in the piece, because a lot of times if you do that, you'll end up with them cracking later on. Now, in past videos, I have used or I'd showed proportion. And on them little bitty Christmas ornaments and stuff, I think your skill level, whatever it may be, even if it's beginner, you could draw out an angel without having to proportion it out. But just for camera's sake here, I'll kind of show you where I always go to, or where I came up with this pattern. Let's draw a head shape. This would be the head. All right, that's about 1.5 inches. So let's make her 7.5 heads tall. And I'm just going to go by sight, you guys. The first head down would be probably here. Second head would be at the navel. The third head would be at the crotch. Then a lot of times I'll start the other way, but I can keep going on down. But let's draw the top here. All right, usually you got 2 heads across your shoulders. And I'm just approximately doing this, you guys. I am not sitting here with a tape measure and going, oh, this, and this. Because actually, we're just after, this is a girl in a dress, a woman in a dress. So it doesn't have to be that perfect. But just to give you guys a little idea where I'm at here, her nipples would be a head apart, something like this. So I'd kind of, you don't have to go through all this, but it does kind of help if you don't know how big to make your person. Now, this next one down is the belly button area. So a lot of times, bottom of this rib cage thing comes down like this. We got this happening. We got this. This is a quick drawing. So if you guys go, well, that's a lousy drawing, that's because I'm just making it up and doing it as I go. The next one down is the crotch area. But here at the belly button, this will put you out on your hips just slightly. And then here's a hip cage, let's call it, the box. This would be the crotch area. Now, as far as from here down, let's do another head length here and another head length here. Let's see how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go 7, and let's say 1/2. These are approximate, as you can see, but what would happen here would be the legs, of course. the feet down here, the knees. Knees are a couple of heads up, so I'm going to say here's the knee area. Like I said, this is quick. I'm not after that approximate of a thing because she's wearing a dress and this is all going to be covered up anyway. But this is for you people who are watching going, well, I have no clue how to proportion something like this out. Well, this would be my figure. Now, the arms, she's praying in this one. Now, some of them I do with the book, you know, let's say a songbook or a Bible or something in her hands. So, whatever you guys choose to put in your angel's hands, I've put everything from a Christmas wreath, usually praying is a good one to do with the angel, but we've done various other things that you could make up. So, the basic planes of this body, let's say she's praying. All right, here's my shoulder. Here's basic plane here, basic plane here. So as you're doing your drawing, now these arms will be approximately a head and a half from the shoulder to the elbow, from the elbow to the first row of knuckles. Here again, I'm not getting too concerned with that because here's her arm here. Let's say that I'm going to have her praying with her hands up like this. I guess the main thing I'm going to say about what I'm doing right now is the position of whatever the arms are. You can actually change the arms. For instance, you might want to have one doing something up here and the other one down or something. You can experiment with that. Now, she has a robe on, so I'm going to leave this hanging down part of the robe. Hanging down part of the robe here. And then this dress, I'm actually going to let it flow way out like this. I might even just throw a little bit of this shape down at the bottom of the dress. Now, eventually, you're going to carve hair on this lady, and we don't really know what the hair is doing right now. We're early in the game, but leave yourself some room on your pattern. That's a little wild on the hair there, but doesn't much matter. All right, now the wings, when I draw them wings on there, I don't like to go way up and then back down. Something about that wing pattern, if you get it way up like that, it begins to look a little bit more sinister. So I'm going to keep these wings coming out and over like this right here. And see, they're actually slightly below the head. What do we got here on my one I carved? See, something like that. If a person goes way on up with these wings and then down and point them on the top, like I said, they begin to look a little more sinister. So this is just a simple coming up and over, and then I'm coming down. Now, I'm not going to go all the way to the ground. I'm actually going to let these wings end off somewhere like this. Of course, you guys, like I said, this is kind of a quick drawing. This would be the praying hands here. And we'll get into the face and that hair and stuff a little later. What I'm going to do here is just picture in my pattern. Now, keep in mind, this is rough in, so I'm not too concerned about whether it's the perfect, everything's perfect right off the bat, because I'm going to be roughing this out. I got my neck, got my shoulders here, coming down. I'm a little bit outward with this basic plane right here. I'm coming back up. I'm going to put these hands praying somewhere in this area. This is the robe. The boob area is right in here on her breast. And then this dress, you can see I kind of already. And then, of course, this other hand and arm. Now, notice two things about this hand and arm thing I'm doing. I'm drawing it way big at first because you guys remember the first rule of wood carving that I've talked about before. You know, you can always go back and you can take more off. But if you go in here early on in the game and you get things too small and too little, then the only recourse you have is to make the whole pattern smaller. So usually when I'm drawing in here, let's get this other hand, this robe thing. Of course, here's a chainsaw mark in here. My first thing that I'm going to probably do, you guys, is see how thick this board is? To get the body sticking out and the wings at the back, right? I'm going to cut. I'm probably going to do it with my chainsaw. I'm going to go out there and make me a cut right up through here. Now, I could do this with a big V tool too, and I still may. I'm not sure. But if I cut along here, let's say about half the thickness of this board, let's say about this deep, I can take this whole wing area, all of this can go back and go back. That way, as you're taking that wing back, you're leaving wood for the torso and the body up here. I done exactly what I told you I was going to do next. As you might notice that I took the chainsaw and I took just a little bit of wood out here, because if you look at the one I got finished here, look at the depth that I have at the wings behind the body. Now, I do have to warn you guys that if you're in there digging very far back in there, you got to watch out, because you might actually get too thin and the wings might break off there. So you got to be real careful not to get too deep back in here. But as you know or can see, that the whole idea is we have to have the depth to gain the height for the body here. Now, the other thing that I'm starting to do is I'm starting to round the back side of the wings up a little bit in there. So what I'm going to be doing on this big one that I got going is I'm going to be rounding off not only on the body, well, this would be on the dress, let's say, down here on the dress part. I'm rounding off here, but I'm also digging and rounding some on the inside of the wings here, which is exactly, you can see where I've been working on this one a little bit, doing that. Now, I dug in there with the chainsaw and then took that piece out of there just to save some time. You could take a large V tool and V tool a big groove down through here and then work it. Or you could simply sit there just like I am right now and take a little off the wing side like this. And a little off the dress side here. You're rounding up. Now, as you're doing this, keep in mind that eventually we're going to have these hands and these arms starting in here. And I did mention to you guys when we talked last about always leave yourself way more room than you think you need. So where these arms are coming down, it's got the robe hanging down off the arms and stuff, I'm going to do what I call stab sketching. And stab sketching is, now notice I'm not working straight in. I'm working away from the arm, for one thing. But I am going to stab sketch, and I'm going to relief a little under this arm area here. Like this. I'll come over on this side. I got that gouge kind of upside down to get that. It's a number 3, kind of a flat gouge I got, but at least it's got a little curve to it. Now, where these hands go, you might notice that one chip there was wanting to pull up. So where these hands go, I'm actually going to go ahead and start sketching in, stab sketching, like here at the fingers on the praying hands. I'm going to get a little of depth here. I go a little easier. I don't want the wood to split out on me. Notice that I'm working away, not straight in. You always want to work away from everything. So around these hands, there's going to be a certain amount of wood that has to be relieved. And here at the top of the arms, notice that I'm working away, not straight in. Now, this whole chest and face area will eventually start to go back, but I'm going to leave myself a ton of room under this chin here. And there again, notice I'm not working straight in, you guys. I'm working like away from the chin and the face. But I'm going to do just a little bit of stab sketching where I think this face eventually will go. These will be your first maneuvers early on in your roughing in. Years ago, when I first started wood carving, I didn't have a saw and this, that, and the other. So I used a chainsaw quite often, like I did here, to rough in with. And then I would always go in and rough on in with a big gouge or, And so that's usually the way I work. Now, I've watched a lot of the videos on YouTube of the other carvers carving, and everybody has their own technique. Now, I noticed that most of the character carver guys are using mostly, let's say, a knife and a V-tool and a small gouge, This is actually the same game, except you're using a mallet and a little bigger gouge, It's all kind of in the way that you might say the way you've been raised in your wood carving, because I've always used a mallet, and I've most generally always used a vise. I'm going to start rounding off a little where the face is going. This whole head area is peaked looking right now. So I would begin to round it off. To rough this out with the gouge, this would take me probably 2.5 hours or so. I could sit here, round this dress out, round these wings in, round the back sides, which I have started rounding on the back sides a little bit. I'm gaining depth to get the height for the face and the hands and stuff sticking out there. So anyway, I'm going to work at this, probably not all on camera. I'm going to work at this, and then I'll catch you guys up to a point to get the arms, the hands, and the face roughed in here next time we talk.